Hello, everyone. I'm San, and you're listening to San's podcast. I drive my car. Lately, the weather has been getting colder, hasn't it? Even though I live in Saigon, the evenings have been quite chilly. I can really feel it. So please remember to dress warmly and take good care of your health as winter approaches. Today, I want to talk to you about how our personality determines our destiny. Is it easy? What shapes our personality and influences it? The idea for this podcast came from a recent personality test I took. I'm sure many of you know about the MBTI personality test, right? It's a method that uses a series of multiple-choice questions to analyze a person's personality. There are so many questions we have to answer, and we respond to them as honestly as possible to find our closest personality type. And honestly, after seeing the results, I was quite surprised. Basically, this is just a test, and for me, it's more for reference. If you don't really know what personality type you are, you could try taking this test. Who knows, we might understand our own character better. I find it to be quite an interesting test. After you get the results, it classifies you into distinct personality types, and then you can learn more about yourself. I think I'll need a very long journey, perhaps an entire lifetime, to fully understand myself. For me, life is about discovering the inner energy within, and through that, exploring the world around me. If you haven't taken this test yet, you can do it later. Then share with me what your personality type is in the comments section below. I was quite surprised to find out my result belongs to one of the rarest personality types, making up only about 1 to 3% of the world's population. INFJ, the advocate. According to assessments, the MBTI test is about 75% accurate. In reality, there were times when I wasn't sure if I was an introvert or an extrovert, especially a few years ago when I didn't even know what those terms meant. I found it easy to connect with people, but sometimes I just wanted to be alone. I really craved my own space. It was only recently that I began to understand my personality better, and especially after reading the INFJ results, I thought, wow, it really does resonate with my personality all this time, even though sometimes I couldn't quite articulate it. According to this personality type, I am someone who prefers introversion, tending to favor quiet environments and only interacting with close friends. Social interactions with strangers can drain a lot of my energy, and this is absolutely true for me. I use intuition more than concrete sensing. Generally, INFJs have a rich inner life but also care deeply about others. Specifically, INFJs possess unique abilities to inspire emotions and motivate others. Though truly introverted, INFJs still have enough insight to adapt well in social situations. They care about the happiness of others, can collaborate and be creative to resolve differences. INFJs are very dedicated and goal-oriented individuals. They constantly seek meaning in relationships, ideas, and events, desiring to understand themselves and those around them through intuitive skills, vision, and self-confidence to develop and improve everyone's lives. Honestly, I find this test very interesting. In reality, a person's personality is difficult to condense into 1 or 2 words or even 1 or 2 sentences because it's so complex. There are many different facets of personality within one person. For example, I don't like being in overly crowded places, yet I absolutely love attending concerts of my favorite singers. I'm willing to join such events. Within one person, there can absolutely be both strength and weakness. Some people are very resolute, but at times they can be soft. Some people are incredibly stubborn, but at other times they want to listen to others more. It's very difficult to define our personality with just one definition or a couple of sentences. But nonetheless, gradually exploring and understanding our own personality is truly essential and meaningful in this life. Sometimes, look around you at your current relationships, your job, your family, the place where you grew up. You'll see that they reflect, to some extent, who you are. Sometimes, just by looking at your loved ones or close friends, you can understand a lot about your own personality. Because whatever our personality is like, we will attract things that align with it. I remember quite a while ago, I heard a really profound saying, "Habits create personality, and personality determines destiny." At that time, I didn't think this was true. I thought everything was already predetermined. I believed that when we're born, our fate is set. Why are some people born rich and beautiful, while I'm not only plain looking but also born into a very ordinary family, and my personality is a bit stubborn. I thought that must be my destiny, and I just had to accept it. But gradually, I realized that saying is very true. The idea that habits shape personality becomes truer every day. Of course, parents give birth, but heaven gives personality. When we're born, we might carry a very distinct personality. Some are obedient and well-behaved, but others are stubborn, like me, for example. However, over time, as we grow up, we can completely improve our personality. Personality isn't something easy to change, because most of us only want to look at the good aspects of ourselves. Our self-perception is often about the beautiful facets, and we don't look at the darker corners, the mistakes, the bad daily habits, the shortcomings in our personality. This is why it's so difficult for us to change our personality. But over time, when I look back at myself 5 or 6 years ago, 10 years ago, I see that the improvement in my personality has changed so much. I grew up in the central region of Vietnam. My personality was thorny from a young age, very direct, but also very passionate. I gave my all in everything I did, and in relationships, I also gave my utmost. But once I felt that what I was giving wasn't being appreciated, I was ready to leave immediately. At 18, I moved to Hanoi to live, and changing my environment had a huge impact on my personality. Living in Hanoi with people from the north, I felt like I learned more about diplomacy and how to interact with people more harmoniously. But the biggest change came when I moved to Saigon. It's been 4 years since I moved to Saigon, and the life and environment here have truly refined my personality, making me much softer. If before I was a thorny and tough girl, after entering this environment, I feel like those sharp edges have been smoothed out, making me much gentler and softer. In the period from 18 until now, almost 10 years, my life has seen environmental changes, combined with a development in awareness. Gradually, this created a combination that allowed my personality to change over time. Thanks to these positive changes in my personality, I feel like many good things have come into my life. Within each of us, there are good qualities and bad qualities. If we can recognize these good and bad traits, develop the good ones, and work to change the bad ones, then each of us will become a more complete person, and our lives will become much more beautiful. If I were to share with you how we can recognize our own personality and make small changes, I would say, start with your daily habits. What good habits do you have and what bad habits? Write them down in a notebook and be truly honest. We should be honest with ourselves. If we're often late, write it down. If we're stubborn, write it down. If we're a bit lazy, write it all down. Or maybe we don't truly appreciate our family, valuing external relationships more. Or perhaps we are indecisive or hesitant. Write it all down. We might be born to our parents, and our personality might be shaped by fate, but ultimately, whether our lives succeed or fail, whether we are happy or not, is determined by us. Life may not give me many things, but I will start searching and turn my life into the life I desire, and I will definitely do it. When you have such a mindset, you will find ways, you will find paths, you will explore more, changing your current circumstances. If there is one thing that determines your life, that determines your destiny, it is your personality. Your personality, your reactions to what happens in life, your choices you are the one who decides your destiny. That's why sometimes many adults, especially those with a lot of life experience, are very good at reading people. For job interviews, experienced individuals will look at your attitude and personality. Your capabilities are already shown in your CV. They just need to ask a few more questions to understand your personality and approach to life. Based on that, they will assess whether you truly fit their company. When I was little, my grandfather used to tell me, "If you want to have enough to eat and wear later, you must work hard, my child. Life will be difficult. Just be diligent, hardworking, and persevering. You may not get rich, but you will surely have enough in life without hardship. If you're lazy, you'll be poor. So try to study hard, my child." My grandfather already advised me like that back then. I don't know if your grandfathers also advised you similarly, but for me, that was a very sound piece of advice. When we truly become aware of our responsibility for this life, realizing that every action we take each day determines our life, you will be more careful with your actions. You will become conscious of what you should do instead of simply leaving things to the will of heaven. Why does my friend, who has a bad personality, always find people who love them? The problem is that you are only seeing one side of the coin. You cannot see their entire life. And the important thing is that we shouldn't overly concern ourselves with external things, with other people's lives. The important thing is to find answers for our own lives, to focus only on our own lives. Whether someone lives well or not is their decision, and they will have to take responsibility for their own life. The most important thing is how we live our own lives. Personality will determine destiny. A diligent person, even if they don't become overly wealthy, will certainly never go hungry. If someone has a stubborn personality, they will often find it difficult to embrace new things in life. If someone lives only to complain, no matter how many good things happen in their life, they will never feel happy. But if someone lives with a different, more positive perspective, even if they earn little money or face many difficulties, they will still find ways to experience daily life with small joys. Based on each person's personality and perspective, some will seize challenges as opportunities to overcome difficulties, opportunities to step out of their comfort zone. But many others will see these difficulties as utterly terrible, and from that, resent everyone around them and society as a whole. Ultimately, everything originates from within us, and we only live one life. In the end, we will all pass away anyway. This is our life, and while we are alive, while we can breathe, everything can change. The terrible things you encounter daily, the toxic relationships, everything can be changed. Fate is not a fixed thing. Heaven sends us to this life with a message. The important thing is not where we are born, but how we grow up, how we live this life throughout our journey of maturity, and what we create, how we change. That is what's important. I believe we shouldn't just surrender to fate, my friends, because personality is what determines destiny, and habits are what create personality. If you want to change your personality, start by examining your daily habits. How do we treat our family, our friends? How passionate are we about our work? How do we face difficulties? How do we receive negative comments and criticism from others? A day has 24 hours. How are you using those 24 hours? Every second, every minute we are living, breathing here, listening to this podcast, everything in your daily life is shaping who you are. I want to share more positive things, and this is just one of the good habits I want to develop more. When many people receive good things, it's a seed that no amount of money can compare to. That's why I truly want these messages to reach all of you. This life is determined by us, and daily habits create personality, and personality determines our destiny. So let's not look too far. Ultimately, changing this life comes only from the daily actions you take for yourself and your life. Perhaps in the past, you encountered many bad things, you made many mistakes, but from now on, let this podcast be a companion on your journey. After listening to this podcast, you can write down a list of your bad habits and good habits so we can begin to change our lives. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget to hit follow so you can catch more podcasts in the future. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episodes.